Okay, looks like we're good. Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Public Utilities Commission for Thursday, May 9th, 2024. Can we begin with the pledge of allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public input today?
No.
Okay, any correspondence?
No.
Love that. I move that we approve the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of April 11th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll apply your minds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Financial report.
All right, the water department, you can see, is in a surplus position by $345,000. If you look at the revenue, we've gotten in anticipated loans and grants, 4.8 million. We spent in the capital projects, 4.5. Pretty much, that's almost exactly 300,000. That's most of it. You remember Wright Pearson previous years have done a lot of the engineering work. And we're starting to get paid back from that through the loan for Bergstrom. Revenue wise, revenue is trending down on the billing wise, not on collection. On water, so we're curious to see what's going to happen when the bills go out this month, based on all the MIUs being replaced. But as of right now, it's in the surplus. The collections is $63,000 more than the prior year on water. Expense wise, the main thing that's out of whack is the project doing all the MIUs. We talked enough about it. If you look at sewer, if you look at collections, they've collected more this year than last year by roughly $20,000. Billing is again down, but we saw some big adjustments when we did the MIUs. So we'll see what happens with this next batch. Bills go out. We'll talk more about that a little bit when we talk about the draft of the budget. Sewer's in a deficit position. It's in a deficit position based on what it billed. Collection wise, they've collected $1 million more than what we have in expenses. It's all with the sewer assessments. We don't bill out a ton of sewer assessments anymore, accounting wise, but it's because we're just billing out the current portions, what we collect. So if you look at, I don't know if that was broken. I got it broken out. So for sewer assessment for the year, we've collected almost $1.3 million. You don't bill out that much, but it's the collection fee. So the auditors want us to show out based on what we bill, but the money's coming in from the assessments. It's just a goofy accounting thing. So cash wise, we're okay. But that's why it shows in a deficit. It showed it in a deficit the year before, it showed it in the deficit the year before that. So we started last year, I started taking down what we put in the sewer budget for assessments, because when I took over, the assessment number was like $1.5 million. It was based on what we collected. I started bringing it down closer to what we actually bill out, because at some point we're going to still have the collection's going to drop off. People pay off their assessment, and we're still going to have the loans. We've been bringing that down. But when we just look at the current year for 24, the expenses look in line based on what we thought, again, other than the MIU project, and we're bringing in more money than we're spending, is the gist of pretty much what I spent the last 2 minutes trying to explain. But we're not billing out as much, but it's all based on how they bill out the assessments. That's pretty much all I got.
All right. Any questions? In the past, we've been in the habit of accepting reports. I was reading Robert rules a while back, really don't have to accept reports. So I'm gonna just move on to the next one, invoices. I'll just go ahead, what I'll do is I'll make the motion, that we accept the payment invoices totaling, $358,556.86. Have a second. Okay, so, any discussion? I mean, basically, we're right on track. It seems like with everything was working well.
Yeah, yes. If you're looking at the cover sheet, I can tell you briefly, Kovacs is our normal monthly construction as, invoice.
Yep.
The next two, Weston and Sampson's, were both for the railroad easement, job. For whatever reason, that November 8th invoice for $624.51, I think I received it like the day of that November meeting. And then I never put it in for December or any subsequent months. And so anyway, that was just basically that invoice from way back when they were completing the job. The next invoice you see was then for the most recent work they did with we had to get a credit from Metro North on what we had to pay in advance for the work they were going to do.
Mhm.
So there was some paperwork that had to go back and forth, and the final mapping, the final videos and all that. So that's like the final invoice on the railroad job. Number 4 is Weston and Sampson for the work now they just did with the sub area 13 that we just started in April. Number 5 is Wright Pierce for the SCADA design. 6 was Melanie's invoice for water. And number 7 is Green Mountain. That's also for the railroad. That was for the balance of the retainage that we owe them. And that'll basically complete that contract.
Okay. Any discussion on the invoices? Okay, seeing none, I'll try your minds. All in favor of the approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Okay, new business, SCADA project update.
Okay, so I asked Ryan Meekum from Wright Pierce to come down. He's been working on our SCADA project. We're getting closer now to final plans and specs. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have him come down and just give us an update on where we're at with the project, since we're going to be ready to go out to bid here in the next couple of months, I would say, by sometime in the summer.
Mid-July.
So Ryan has a presentation. I'll throw it over to him.
Thank you, Rick.
From the beginning. Okay. All right, so we're presenting on the Bethel SCADA upgrade today. Gonna go to the next slide here. We're providing a new PLC-based SCADA system at all of your water sites in town. And you'll hear me say PLC-based throughout this, so we'll talk a little more about what that means a little further on here. We're going to have a PLC-based radio telemetry system, a PLC-based monitoring control at a couple of sites, hardware-based software alarming and alarm dialing, centralized redundant SCADA infrastructure here at the town hall, data logging and storage, and some tablets for remote access for the water staff throughout town. This SCADA project is exclusive to the water sites, does not include any of your wastewater sites. And we will be upgrading electrical infrastructure at these sites as needed to support these SCADA updates. Oh yeah, that was,
I just want to make sure you can get a minute of this waiting to come in.
yep, that's actually Jim. Go ahead and hit the button. Okay, jump one slide. There we go. All right, so we're updating the electrical infrastructure as needed to support these telemetry upgrades. So Next slide. The project functionality, you'll have local RTUs at each water site that will communicate back to the town hall, primarily for monitoring and alarming only. There'll be new PLC-based full control at Maple Avenue and limited control at Eureka Tank as it is needed to interface to the Maple Avenue site. And there will be remote telemetry units at the water sites and master telemetry here at the town hall. That actual MTU will be upstairs near the probate court office with fiber optics to the data center. The SCADA system, servers and clients will monitor and collect data in the system as well as dial out alarms. You will have control mode and set point adjustments, again, limited to the sites that are having full controls, and secure remote access via the tablets throughout town. Those will be 5G tablets. Next slide. We did an initial radio path study in 2018, done through Wright Pierce. Initially, those findings supported using the Blue Sky Tower site, which is where your EMS repeater is, as a repeater and concentrator for this project. During the preliminary design, we determined that the leasing costs, along with the fact that the tower was already at 95+% of its structural capacity, that it wasn't really a great place for us to base our design off of. During preliminary design, we then went back out and we did some additional field measurements from each site, seeing if we could actually put an antenna up here on the roof of the town hall to see if we could get back here directly. Next slide. Those new field measurements indicated that all sites except for the Briarcliff site, because it's down in kind of a valley there, could actually reach back to the town hall directly. And we were able to, so Chestnut Ridge will be a repeater site to support Briarcliff. So Chestnut Ridge will aggregate its own signals plus the signals from Briarcliff and repeat those back to the town hall to the SCADA system. Next slide. So discussing your radio license, your Public Works Department has a current radio license that looks like it's for voice. We're gonna have to get into some details here between 90 and 100% on exactly what that license is currently used for, whether we should repurpose the existing license or acquire a new license completely. The new radio system will be VHF based and will communicate on a industry standard Ethernet protocol. And that will help with future obsolescence. Even if you have to swap a radio out, any Ethernet radio will allow you to go back into operation. Next slide. So kind of mentioned some of this, but we'll go a little deeper here. So the main telemetry panel will be located upstairs by the probate court and in the closet where the power, the lighting panel is for that department. And then we'll have a fiber optic that will come downstairs into the tax collector's office and then run down the hall here, following the same path as the other fiber here in the building to the data center. The SCADA rack in the data center will include redundant SCADA servers and network support equipment specifically for SCADA. It will be a separate rack that we're installing in there just for SCADA. There will be a SCADA client terminal in the Public Utilities Director's office for access to the entire SCADA system throughout the town. Additionally, the Bergstrom well site / water treatment facility has its own local SCADA server. Because of timing, it needed SCADA in order for that plant to operate. That will be converted to a client. And that will then be able to be used as a client terminal for the entire SCADA system in town, as well as the Bergstrom data then aggregating back here to the data center as part of the town-wide SCADA system. There will be dedicated 4G / 5G tablets provided. I believe we have 4 in the specifications for use by the water staff, where they'll be able to, remotely from their vehicle, view alarms and make set point changes at the support sites. So monitoring and alarming sites these are sites where we're just doing monitoring of existing alarms and flow set points, trend data, et cetera. Will be Upper Summit, Lower Summit, South Street, Hoyts Hill, and the Chestnut Ridge tank. Chestnut Ridge tank currently communicates with the South Street station for pump control on-off. That's done by cellular, and that will be being eliminated and brought under the radio communication as well. And then I mentioned this before, the RTUs are PLC based, which are RTUs radio telemetry based. And we're doing that. There are some slightly less complicated RTUs that we could use, but they wouldn't support any future expansion to full control of those sites. So this methodology that we're pursuing will allow you to eventually upgrade those sites to full control without replacing equipment at the sites. So as part of our preliminary evaluation, we were out at Maple Avenue and as well as Eureka Tank as it's associated, and they're the only non-Allen Bradley PLCs in your water district. They're Horner integrated controllers, not really compatible with what we were trying to do here. So we were going to have to put another PLC there anyway, just to handle the data. So working with Tom and his team, we've come up with a system where we're going to replace the controls completely for Maple Avenue with a new PLC. And then at the Eureka Tank site, we'll replace the controls that are associated with the Maple Avenue control. We're not going to do anything with the treatment facility controls at Eureka Tank. Project cost, we have an estimated probable construction cost of around $795,000. We have submitted a draft bidding services agreement to the town in the amount of $13,000 and a draft construction services estimate at $156,000, bringing the total construction cost to around $965,000. Anticipated schedule, we're anticipating having a 90% design, it's not on here, to the town for review within the next 2 weeks, and moving on to 100% by the 7th of July, with plans and specs available for bidding in mid-July, with the town doing bid selection mid-August. 14 to 18 month construction period. We are going to do some priority submittals because while lead times are getting better, PLCs and such are still somewhat long. So we're gonna prioritize those submittals to get those in faster. And we're anticipating substantial completion in the winter of 2025, very early spring, depending on some of those lead time issues. Anybody have any questions?
I presume this comes with substantial amount of training.
Yes, yeah. So we carry specific sections in our specifications on who gets trained on what and at what point. As each system comes online, there'll be training, and then when the entire system is complete, there'll be an additional overall training on that as well.
And what about security?
So we will be complying with all the AWWA cybersecurity guidelines. Those will be covered in the work spec.
I don't recognize AWWA.
American Water and Wastewater Association.
Okay.
American Waterworks.
American Waterworks, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Has put out a cybersecurity guideline that follows the national standard for all utilities, but they kind of tailored it to water. So,
This is Ryan. Could I interject?
yes, this would be Jim. This is the my boss and the lead project engineer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Papademetrio here. Basically, on the training, you'll get training on the hardware, the overall RTUs, what they consist of, description of the components, functionality. You also get description on the SCADA rack, what components they contain, the network switches, the redundant SCADA servers, the firewalls and all their functionality. And then also finally on the upper level, on the software end, the system integrator is going to provide training that we're going to oversee on the overall operation of the system. All run through all the graphics, the alarming system, the data logging, the trending, controls, mode selection, data display, and everything. So you'll have a full training set. That's what that consists of. The cybersecurity aspect of things, we're only going to have basically one entry point through a firewall, Ryan, right? Correct? Yep.
Yeah, there's some pieces that we're still working out, the town
Yep.
IT with, but it'll be a single point of entry, and remote access is limited control, not full control also.
Yep. Okay. And those tablets that Ryan spoke about, those will be whitelisted, that only those IP addresses and those MAC addresses, which are specific to that device, will only be able to get on. And again, there's a lot of other nuances to it, but I wanted to fully address that we're going to be in the American Waterworks compliance. So thank you.
And then just as a last note on training, you will also receive, as specified, a full O&M manual for the entire project from the general contractor that covers the complete operation of the system.
Now, when software modifications need to be done, is that something Tom's group does, or does it have to get subbed out to a licensed contractor?
Typically, Dino, I think we would have like an instrumentation vendor. They do the installs, they can do the maintenance, they can do the repairs. My experience with SCADA, we operate it, we know how to kind of get on, move around, change set points. But then the programming end of things, that's beyond us. So usually we've had in the past down in Norwalk, we would have a contract with the vendor and you'd get like 24/7 phone support. So basically you have a problem at 2 a.m, you can get on the phone with them. And then if they got to show up and do something, then basically you're on the clock with them.
So if I could further expound upon that, essentially within the contract, they have 1 year warranty on workmanship. So if there's something that goes bump in the night, the system integrator who does the programming provides the hardware, the software, any instrument like the weigh scales, for example, something happens, they're obligated to support it within reason. Beyond that, the system integrator who programmed the system, if you're happy with him, you can request a maintenance agreement outside of the contract for the following year so he can maintain your system. All right, that's typically the way these things go. So,
And I believe, and I don't quote me on the exact number of hours, I believe in the specifications I think I have 5 callbacks with 40 allocated hours. And the first year, Tom and his group figure out there's something they really need that they're not getting. We've got some flexibility in there for them to get that in place within the first year after substantial completion.
5 times 40 or 5?
No, 5 visits,
40
five trips, 40 hours.
Okay.
So basically, they could be out here for up to 5 days, 5 round trips and up to 40 hours. Not 40 hours, not including travel time. So it's 5 trips plus 40 hours.
And again, my experience with maintenance, your vendor would have access to get in. He could probably troubleshoot.
That's the wonder of the remote.
So that's when they don't necessarily have to make a trip immediately. They can see what's going on by just basically having credentials to get in.
And that's why I always wonder about security,
Yes.
So I did notice.
because there's an outside group now.
I did notice the town is using Duo Push. I only noticed that because I was here when she logged into the computer. We could actually have a conversation about including that level of security into it'd be easy enough to integrate that into the SCADA logon where Duo Push would be required to get in. That would be, we always do 2-factor, but since you're
Multi-factor,
already using that within the town, that would probably be the direction I'll go in the spec site. So we'll get that included. So it'll just go through your normal Duo Push operation for that.
Ryan, could you explain the logon differences if a person wants to get in, like one of Tom's personnel wants to get into the system? How many different logons are they going to have to do?
Yeah, so there's
Briefly.
briefly, there's 2 things you have to do to get into the system. Really, there's 2 levels of access. First, you're going to have to authenticate through the firewall. That will be the Duo Push. You'll then also, second level, have to authenticate into the SCADA system. Each of your water operators will have the ability, will be the ones that have the ability to make either view only or make set point changes, right? So that's a key difference. There will be different
And
levels.
that's actually, I want to ask this, yeah, the different
Yes.
levels, that's with each tablet has different levels?
The
No, the
the individual will be given
The
certain
individual person
amount of
by
credentials.
tablet.
Okay, thank you.
So Tom will have different levels that Carrie left.
And then, but they can basically take a tablet, and log in the way.
Correct. They'll
And log in.
authenticate through the firewall first, they do a push, then they'll authenticate into SCADA. And then for certain things, there's a third level of authentication if it's like a critical. And again, like one of those, I'll give you an example. At Maple Avenue, if you wanted to make a change to hypochlorite, you would have to enter your password before you change to the
Well,
dose.
logging in through the firewall and then logging in through the SCADA, you're gonna need username and password.
Separate username and passwords for
Right.
each. And then when you go to make a change to a critical system, it would still be your SCADA username and password, but you just enter it again to avoid accidental change. Because I'm sure we've all heard of the Winter Park incident where they were hacked, or possibly not, still up in the air based on the FBI's findings. But it was either an operator accidental change or an intentional breach, and had there been that extra level of requiring that password on that change, it could never have happened in either case. So that's kind of, even if somebody hacks your firewall, they're not necessarily getting into your SCADA system. They're just going to be in a black box somewhere, not able to do anything. They'll be able to see the screen. They'll know how much your flow is at Maple Avenue.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and if somebody logs on and there's, they put their tablet down for like 5-10 minutes, this is user adjustable, the system logs them off automatically. Okay.
So
One other question I had real quick. We were talking about this going over a VHF radio system and our current radio license. Now, our current radio license, I believe, is for our public utilities communications, like radio.
you guys have mobile radios? That was kind of one of our questions.
Yeah,
You do, Carrie? Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're like,
so-
it's public works.
it's
radio
public
works.
works.
We're on this, public works.
So if that is still in use, we'll just be pursuing a new license.
Right, that's why I'm asking, because, I mean, that is kind of a primary backup thing. We just fixed the repeater for that.
Yep.
And it's kind of one of those emergency backup
Yeah.
systems. So if it's gonna interfere, we probably want to get started on that sooner than later, because I know that takes a while, because you have to get a whole new channel, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't take, it won't affect, I mean,
Okay.
it's not going to.
This is one of those things to delay the project or something silly.
It's not,
Okay.
it'll be one of those things that we prioritize
All right.
before we go to bid, but it won't be
Yes.
on construction.
So that's one of the things I wasn't sure of. It's been a while since I delved into that, but you bring up an excellent point. The current system is 75 watts in the VHF region, and it's voice only. It does not carry data. If that was to be discontinued entirely for voice, we could modify the license and switch it over to data, reduce the, you would have what they call an emission designator change from voice to data. A few other things, I'm not going to technical things, so we could have modified that. But if that's going to still be in use, we'll apply for a new license.
And that'll be
And-
in the 200 megahertz range. Your current license is in the 400 megahertz range. So
Yeah, yep.
and
And
that's
one,
the-
sorry,
that's-
go ahead.
let me finish, Jim. That's the frequency we did all the radio testing at when we came up here. So we'll be in that band range. So
Yep.
we,
And if I could add, one of the things when we apply for a license, we would work closely with Tom and say, all right, hey, Tom, here's your current sites. Or within the next 10 years, do you see any future sites that need to be added? So we would make sure that the license included those sites, right? So that this way, within the next 5-10 years, we need to bring an additional site into SCADA, it's already designated on the license. We wouldn't have to modify the license again. So that's the forethought and the planning that we provide.
any other questions? Thank you guys for your
Thanks,
time.
Brian. Thanks, Jim.
And on the last slide here, 2 slides from here, add Jim and my contact information. If anybody does come up with any other questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. Or to Tom, and Tom will get a hold of us. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the 18 Stony Hill Road for a hotel and increase in sewer allocation.
Is this Mark?
Scott.
Got it. Okay. You're with Dimar?
Yeah.
Okay. Dimar is the engineer for the project. It's 18 Stony Hill Road, which I think is the current Econo Lodge. And they're going before P and Z with a new building behind the existing building for an additional 68 rooms. So that building will then need a sewer allocation. And I can get into the number once I explain and Scott gives his presentation.
What's up, Scott?
Okay, my name's Scott Lukowski. I'm an engineer with Dynamark, representing the Guy Corporation. The proposed development of a new hotel, 68 room for story hotel behind the existing hotel located at 18 Stony Hill Road in Bethel. So currently, this hotel, the existing one, is their sewage is connected with a 4-inch line back of the hotel to a point on at the 15-inch sanitary sewer in Stony Hill Road. And what we want to do is combine the sewage from the existing and the proposed hotel into a pump station and replace the 4-inch line, which is pretty flat, not of high capacity, into either a new structure or a direct connection to the 15-inch connection we have now. We took 3 years of their data, so for a moment, to just get a more colorized view of the utilities. So right here is our pump station in between the two buildings. The force main is going to run this way, come along the same path as the existing 4-inch gravity line, and they connect here to the sanitary sewer in the street. So we took 3 years of data, occupancy and water usage for the existing hotel. Did a statistical analysis to get about 91% maximum occupation rate. And let's see what I got. And roughly an average of 82 gallons per day with a max of 114 gallons per day for the existing hotel. Applying that to the 68 bedrooms for the proposed hotel brings us up to 62 rooms occupation, that's the occupation rate, and a maximum flow of gallons per day for a room of 123 gallons per day, based on the max 14. So that brings me up to a total of 12,200 roughly gallons per day for the flows, and a peaking factor of about 3.5. So that gives me about 21 gallons per minute. I'll provide you all the counts on that.
That's fine. I'll just jump in. What I did as far as sewer allocation, we have all the water records from the existing building. So we can see how many gallons they're using on a monthly and on a daily basis average. I was looking at about 3,200 gallons per day from the existing building, which I divided by the 43 rooms and came up with an average of 75 gallons per day per room.
That's close. Yeah, I had 82.
Okay, so I was assuming about a 5,100, because if you took that 75 gallons per day per room times 68 rooms, I came up with an additional flow of about 5,100 gallons a day. On top of their existing 3,200 would get it around 8,300 gallons a day total.
Okay.
But what we're looking for allocation wise is now just from the new unit.
Mark, I'm kind of question with the new unit. You keep saying the other hotel. Is it a different brand, an entirely, or is it just another part of the same hotel?
Oh, no, this is under a different name right now. I mean, this is going to be a sleep-in hotel. This one's a Quality or something like that.
But they're two different hotel
Yes.
chains. Right.
Right,
Okay, that's what I'm just, want to make.
exactly.
I didn't know if it was a boutique hotel, if it, if something, different occupancy rate. Just curious.
No, I mean, I basic occupancy rate based on what
his sales records were for those 3 years. And that's how I got to the 91% max. I mean, on average, he was using, because they never used. His average occupancy was about 68. You know, statistically speaking, so I don't know if you want to use that kind of.
I didn't really go by occupancy. I just looked at water usage. So however that worked out to be,
It may be similar, because yours is 91, you're at 82, and yours is 68, or
He was
60.
75 and I had 82.
gallons per
right,
room,
gallons per room,
person.
but the occupancy rate is
Yeah,
figured
that's what
higher
I
for
go
you,
by.
his was lower, so
Yeah.
it's probably the same.
It's pretty close ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
they're not-
The water usage is pretty consistent over the years. It's been pretty consistent. So
Okay.
So, and this may be a little outside of the realm of this commission, but is this two separate businesses, two separate ownerships?
No, he's owning, the Gayatri Corporation's owning both buildings. They own the whole property right now.
But the ability to split them and sell them separately?
To operate them separately, yes, they can do that, I guess. I mean, I'm not the attorney about that.
Yeah, no, I was just, like I said, I'm a little outside of this commission.
You see some of these hotel places where they put two hotels through a different, on one property, and both are at different price points. One owner. captures
Yeah,
more of
so
the
he's gonna
market.
operate both.
Yeah.
Under this scenario, and then, at that point, it's just a matter of, since we already have one connection already, we just want to make use of that one connection right now.
Now, will these be metered separately?
I assume it would be.
yeah, we would have a separate meter in the back for the back building. Although it's Aquarian.
Yeah, it's Aquarian. It's
Oh.
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have separate water switch lines for the new building. The front building has their service coming out off the street to the center of the building.
Okay.
We're gonna have proposed water lines coming up this side,
Okay.
attacking into this.
Yeah, so there'll be separate services, separate meters.
Right.
But the current sewer all meets in the back of the building, the current sewer goes right on the back of the front.
Yeah,
building.
it runs back here, then makes a turn and comes into the street. down
Okay.
there. But it's only a 4-inch line. I'm a little surprised it still works for 40.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to suggest you could be upgraded to 6-inch, but once we saw how deep we were going to be back here, we decided, well, we're just bringing everything to one pump station. And just
Did you calculate the water flow pressure you're gonna have? That's a four-story building, right?
I have to put some inquiries to Aquarian to get their water pressure on their line.
Yeah.
I think it's an 8-inch line out there right
Is there
now.
gonna be a fire pump there?
I don't know yet, 'cause I'm not. working
That's
with
the key on the water. pump.
Yeah, that's the MEP
Right.
guys, deal with that. I'm just doing the site.
I
work.
understand it. I have a question because is there gonna be a generator? You're gonna have a generator out here for
Yes,
this
I'm
pump
gonna put a
station?
generator over on this side, over in here, in this area. So in case there's a power loss, the pump station.
Now, is that pump station dual pump or single?
Dual.
Dual pump.
Duplex, yes.
It has to have, okay?
Duplex and a
You
generator.
have two separate, you got high flow alarms,
Say that again?
have a high flow alarm,
Yes.
building that, you know
Yes,
which one's
yeah,
going on,
we
which one's
align
around.
the, side.
Do the pumps operate alternate on and off, or how do they operate, do you know?
Usually it's one's running and then the other one's quiet, but I don't know if they're gonna have to alternate or not.
Lead lag and then you'll flip
Is it
flop
lead,
them.
is it lead lag, or is it just,
It'll be lead lag.
so one pump can handle all the flow?
It should.
Something should happen. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
How big is the pump chamber?
I've got a 6-foot wet well right now.
Yeah, we have to, to get that information. All right.
Only because I would expect I'd be doing this.
No, I'm not here picking at that. These are
No,
some
no,
of
no,
the,
I mean, it's
these are
usually
some of the
6 foot
questions
is the
and
minimum.
concern that we do have.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the primary flow, that water flow is very important.
Mhm.
Out there.
I don't know if you guys need to have that metered on the sewage flow or not, or,
We bill on sewer based on the water meter.
oh, okay, that's.
Yeah.
So we have many accounts that are Aquarian water.
Yeah.
So we get that, we get those meter readings and that's how we bill out.
Yeah, they'll give them a new meter.
Yes.
For the new building.
Yep. You're before P and Z, I think, next week.
That's correct.
So I had to put comments together for them and they want to by tomorrow. I held off on submitting anything. I had a couple of questions if I can then just
Yeah, sure.
clarify some of that. So I wasn't quite sure what you were doing with the 2-inch force main. Were you going to use the existing 4-inch lateral as a sleeve?
No, I was just gonna take that out completely. Since I'm gonna put the new 2-inch in the
Okay.
same trend.
I just didn't know, so I wanted to just
Oh,
make sure I understood. That was one question. The other item we had was where it enters the main. There's like you have it noted as a 12-inch steel cap
That's what it is. right now.
over a clean out.
Yes,
I'm gonna require, you're gonna need to make that a bigger structure.
I was thinking maybe a manhole.
Maybe, exactly. Make it,
At the 15.
make it a manhole, make the force main and terminate in the manhole, and then use your lateral to then enter the sewer line.
Oh, so you don't want the manhole on doghouse on the sewer line right now?
Not on the main. I like to see the force mains, terminate in a structure on the property and then let it go gravity into our system.
Okay, yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so I'll look for a standard manhole. And then, you know, whether or not you then replace the lateral that's there, or you utilize the existing lateral that's there.
We have, once we excavate it and take a look at the condition of it.
Yeah.
We can make a judgment on that.
Okay, it's a short length from where that steel,
Yeah,
from where the clean out is to the main. It's probably within 10 feet.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, now that we know the facts, I think we should call for a 6-inch to the main. You're not going in the road because the main is right in the curb. You're in the grass, you're gonna have in the driveway there. I was under the impression when we talked yesterday that your pump up line, you were gonna take advantage of the existing line.
I was gonna take advantage of the last section of it, that it would gravity flow to that.
But that's only a 4. I think listening to this, I think I feel better if that was a 6-inch
We
line.
typically go with a 6-inch lateral
Yeah.
now, so.
And the other thing, I picked up when we went around walking the manholes. The last manhole on the backside, they must have like extended the sewer.
Like the northeast corner.
I did not like the inverted there.
No, yeah,
I think that should be replaced.
well, that whole line, if I need to, I can replace that, because I want to take all of this building into that pump station.
Yeah, well, what I'm talking about, that I didn't.
You mean the one over here?
In the northeast corner of the existing building.
Yeah, it's over right here.
Yeah.
I did not like the inverted that, and I'm thinking of picking up these apartments right here.
You could-
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go that far, and you're gonna excavate all this, I would suggest that this one, you do something, you redo the inverted list.
Oh, I would come back out here and just set the pipe down here, for brand new line anyways.
Okay,
Down
but
there.
I think this line here is picking up a couple of these
Yeah.
units in the
But you
basement.
could do a new line like that.
Yeah, okay,
Just abandon this one.
okay.
Well, that was one of my question is where is that 4-inch line terminating? You know,
We know it terminates somewhere in the building, we just haven't found.
no, I meant in the park. Well, okay, it's coming out of that manhole, going back in the building.
Well, it's coming out, like, the building swings into this manhole here,
Right.
and then goes back across the building, probably.
No, but then you're showing a 4-inch line heading south and then you're not showing where that,
No, we couldn't find it at the time.
okay.
We needed the survey. We could probably go back inside the building
But
and look around.
you're thinking about abandoning that line and running a new line
Yeah.
to catch whatever that flow's picking up?
Yeah, because I would rather have a 6-inch line anyway.
All right, then I'm gonna make that one of my comments for P and Z.
Right.
Um,
I'll probably have to do the other side as well, because I want to bring everything over to the same pump station. This is located based on what some preliminary plumbing was, the room layout.
Mhm.
And it looks like his wall is gonna be somewhere in this area between the rooms on this side and the public areas over here. But that could be fine, it's gonna be more of the plumbing plans.
well, based on what we're talking about here, I'll make those comments and that's what you're gonna see at the P and Z meeting.
Okay.
And I think that was all really I had. So again, my estimate was 5,100 gallons per day. That's what I was gonna recommend, for the sewer allocation.
These pumps, are they grinder pumps?
Yes, they would be.
I don't recall.
No,
There
the
was,
reason why I'm asking that question is, I do have a concern, because there's a, hotel. You're gonna have babies going in, and stuff, which is great. They use baby wipes, so I just thought we're gonna have a major problem with that pump station.
Oh.
Baby wipes and everything else, because they're not biodegradable.
there was a sheet on the pump station. I don't have it here with
We have
me.
a stream, we're gonna pick this stuff up. I
I,
know you're the side guy, but these are some of the questions we need an answer.
well, I didn't
Pete,
know.
I can recommend or require a grinder pump.
I mean, but hey, yeah, you,
No
it's up to you, but I mean, it's a concern.
No, that's fine. I'll make that one of my
Yeah.
comments, that we want to see a grinder pump.
I think I have it in details.
It might be. It's a Barnes and I don't remember, I remember certain things about it. I don't remember if it was a grinder or not.
I didn't bring the detail sheet, so
All right, we'll just write it down and
Yeah.
you can
I
respond.
look at this check.
Do we,
It's already
do we
there.
have a copy of the detail sheet? And was that sent to us already?
Well, it's on Unicity. That Beth has the whole package. So I just look at what I need to look at and print it out. And so I have it. I reviewed it already. I just didn't recall if it was grinder or pump or not.
And as far as I know, for the food operations on both buildings, there is no commercial kitchens or anything like that. So we're not, he doesn't have to restruct now, we're not gonna recommend one. Maybe a commercial kitchen or some sort of food prep.
Yeah, that should probably be, you should probably run something past the health department. They would make the designation as to whether your food service establishment classification, 1, 2, 3, or 4. The grease traps are required for 3s and 4s.
Right.
So what you're doing there may be a 1 or a 2 and you may not need it, but that should probably be looked at as part of the whole
Oh, yeah,
package.
we'll have something in for health department. too.
So Tom, one thing we didn't talk about, I mean, I know we have the, we have the capacity.
Yes,
So we could just go ahead and make the motion. I mean,
we are. We have adequate capacity.
So I believe the motion would be, I would move to approve 5,100 gallons per day for 18 Stony Hill Road.
For the
For the new
proposed
hotel?
new
Right.
hotel.
For the proposed new hotel. Okay, I'll add that to the motion. Do I have a second?
That's gonna be the 5,100 plus the existing.
Yeah, we only have to allocate because it's already, if you will,
Yeah.
grandfathered. It's already part of the system.
Yeah.
So any new flows have to get allocated.
Right.
We kind of keep track of a bank and then deduct from the bank so that we know how much more allocation we can distribute.
So this is for the new portion.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, additional. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, try minds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, draft water sewer budget for discussion. Mr. Tommy?
I missed my-
Here.
Uh-oh.
Got it.
Uh-oh.
It's on the back.
All right. All right, so I really just wanted to get something to the commission, and you noticed I put on the agenda for discussion, so. July 1 starts our new fiscal year. We only meet once a month. I figured I'd try to get a draft here in May, then we can have further discussion and potentially vote at the June meeting. I don't know, Brad, if you want to start with your end of things?
Sure, so, most of the first page is, all the first page is me. So salaries for finance and auditing services, the increase in salaries is just a percentage increase that will give it. Auditing services is a $3,000 increase. Should just kind of be both. So one's 3,200, one's 3,300. The cost of the audit just keeps going up and up. But you can kind of trailing. The increase has been 5%, 6%, and 5% again. So some of this is just to catch up, trying to get caught up with how much it costs to do our audit every year.
So we're going from
Yeah, so we're,
10 to 16,000?
Are you looking at between the two of them? Yes. Yes.
That's 60%.
Yeah, and we haven't increased it in really a number of years. And then just trying to get closer to the actuals. That might be a little high, but this was a bad year for the audit, so it's kind of based on this past year. Some of it is the state keeps adding stuff that they need to audit. So if you look at what the current year audit costs are for the town, the 16,000 looks like compared to the 100,000 or so that the town pays. Really, it's just based on a percentage allocation of the audit. So, sorry. Tax collection, or in this case, water sewer use assessment and hydrant collection. 20% of the salaries of the 4 people that work in that office get charged 20% of water, 20% sewer. Office expense just based on what it's been costing in postage, printing of the bills. So the mailers that they have to do, just the cost of office expenses as a whole has gone up. And this is the first draft. When a month from now, when we're doing the final, we'll have another month of data. But that's the first draft of where we're at. For legal between the two of them and contingency, Tom and I didn't see a reason to change it right now. The biggest thing that would change in the contingency lines is if the union wasn't under contract. There is a contract for the 24-25 year. So those contractual raises are in the salaries line. That's why contingency can stay flat. The IT allocation went up $1,000 each. Again, we're just trying to get closer to what tracking based on what the actual expenses are. Insurance. So workers' comp, right now the rate is flat. For the percentage increase is flat. Liability right now is up 3% on the liability auto and property. Kerma reached out yesterday offering the town an extension on a current deal, flat next year, and then some 5% caps in years 2 and 3. This was done before that was done, so that might get adjusted down to being flat. Obviously, it's only $1,500 between the $1,600 between the two of them, but obviously we'll put in the most accurate information we have.
Does workers' comp still use mod factors?
What do you mean by mod factor?
Multipliers that they end up charging based on your history?
Yes. And
What is ours, do you know?
for comp, we've had great history lately, but the problem is the workers that work for the water and sewer department are at like the highest rates because I think they're like 10 cents on the dollar. Whereas like I'm probably 2 cents on the dollar, but I work at it often,
Yeah.
and it is like Tom gets classified the same as I do, the same as Kathy.
Yeah.
Kelly gets classified the same as the guys because he's out in the field. Employee benefits, Social Security and Medicare, that goes up as salaries go up.
Sure.
The hospitalizations based on the percentage we got from the state, I think it was like 2.5% this year. So let's see, 15. I think this is in there at 3%, but it's based on some actuals. And then retirement was increased at the same percentage that we did the general fund. we have new hires. So all the new hires for the last 5 or 6 years aren't on a pension. So instead of the legacy cost, you pay more upfront. So that's been driving it too. Utilities. I don't know why heating oil is up so much for sewer. I'm off to look at that. I didn't note that.
Yeah, that doesn't. look very
I think it should be similar to the current year, but I'll look at that. I think that's wrong on the sewer side because it's flat on the water side.
Right.
And electric is the same percentage. Obviously, water has more bills. One of the things that I have to dig into in the next month is make sure we're charging all the bills right. Because if you look at the actual for this year, it's below it. So Tom was questioning why I was increasing it. I'm increasing it because we're in a draft position and I didn't want to like cut it and then realize things are miscoded. So I'd rather have more room at the end of the year and go, yeah, it is trending under than trending over. The other thing with electricity, the town's locked in for our electric rate through December of 25. So this is just based on use and delivery. They keep increasing the cost of delivery, which I'm sure you all see on your home electric bills. Transfers out is just a balancing number. You'll notice that waters is down a lot, but that's based on last year's budget had a lot more money coming in from the state, or more money coming in from the state than we were spending on the capital. It was the Wright Pierce engineering to Bergstrom. We didn't get reimbursed at all until this year. So some of that was catch up. So it was a big number last year. The year before that, I don't remember offhand what it is, but it was nowhere near 700,000. Especially on the water side. The water side has been running. The administration is just Tom and the portion of Kathy's salaries. So those are up. Then the salaries, so the utility supervisor is Kelly, split equally between the two departments. On the water side, we have a water plant supervisor, and that position is filled again. Which I don't know if the commission is aware of. Tom, do you want to talk about that?
I think I mentioned that when Justin passed his test.
Okay, I didn't remember. Yeah. Okay, so that position is filled, and they're currently working on filling Justin Cole's position. And then the operator salary numbers are up based on the contract. We may come in under that until we hire the new maintainer. We don't know what kind of cert level he is, so I put him kind of middle of the road. If he needs to go out and get certified in a lot of stuff, it may come in under. If we got lucky and hired somebody that had all the certs that we'd ever want, obviously it's all based on the contract, so they'll get more money. So we kind of budgeted middle of the road. And I know the last maintainer that we hired, knock on wood, he's going to get certified level 2 this year is the hope.
Yeah.
So the budget calls for him being at that salary. But I think last year we budgeted it at a level 2 because it was a vacancy, so you don't know what you're going to get. That's And we try to kind of keep it. I'd rather come in under a little bit than have huge jumps in it too. Like, unless we know for sure it's going to be a huge jump. Then longevity is just based on contractually. I'm going to skip all the rest just so I can go into debt service real quick, and then Tom can take the other pieces. Debt service on the water side is just the clean water loans that we have right now. So they are kind of like your home mortgage. Principal goes up, interest goes down, the same payment every month, give or take an escrow, but we don't have an escrow here. So that's why you see that the interest is down 71.27, but the principal is up. we did reach out to our attorneys that are doing all the closing docs for Bergstrom. They don't anticipate in this fiscal year that we're looking at us paying anything towards Bergstrom. So it'll be flat for this coming year. Obviously, when Bergstrom comes in, Bergstrom's, I think we looked at it, Bergstrom's like 450
Gonna closely
a loan. But it's a $7.5 million loan. Obviously, it's gonna go up, but that's also why we increased the water rate.
Yeah. So I wanted to just put that line item there with no dollars, just so, we're kind of aware that that's on the horizon.
What do you mean line item with no dollars? We're talking about the debt service total?
Debt service.
Debt
and
service
water.
on the water side.
There's a line that says Bergstrom anticipated August 25.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put any dollars in
Okay.
because we kind of confirmed with the attorney that probably August is when we're gonna have to start making those payments. But I just wanted to kind of call it out.
And we didn't want you guys to think we missed it. So, because it's a big dollar amount, we looked into it, we got an answer on it. Appreciation, I just bumped up. Obviously, the more stuff we own, the more stuff they look for depreciation. So sewer, even though it's a bigger number, the increase is less, but it, like sewer's not adding as much stuff as water's been adding, so.
So I see another 50K going to Danbury, contracted
So-
services.
I reached out to, we don't know. We haven't gotten the bill for this year for Danbury yet. So, I know that's kind of Tom's baby, but I don't know if I passed it along to you, Tom.
No,
So I did get an answer from the finance director in Danbury. Within the last year, the person that did the calculations for the billing passed away suddenly, and they haven't replaced that person yet. That's why we haven't gotten a bill. So speaking to Dan, who is the finance director over there, he said he's aware of it. They had trouble staffing their own office, and he said he's offered to the sewer department some of his staff so they can get it done. So hopefully we get that in the next coming weeks. Tom bumped it up a little. And,
yeah, I just put an add on to it.
um,
Our flows have been going up with all the storms and rain and we're paying by the gallon, so.
We're talking sewer, not groundwater.
So Tom, why don't you go through the rest of the utility operations and then talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to go through line by line. If you have questions, what I basically did,
Oh, I don't know what that is.
What, do you have a question? Okay, so we'll get back to that.
Yeah, when we get the capital, he's got a question.
what I did with, the operating expenses, I just kind of looked at a year's worth. I got a report from finance. They gave me from last April through this March. And then I just went line by line and adjusted either up or down or kept the same. Everything's pretty close to what it was.
Okay.
So that's the way I go about it, is I look at current history and then adjust from there. The one thing we did last year was the meter maintenance. We usually carry 20,000 on the water and on the sewer side. At our budget meeting last year is when we bumped it to 40.
Mhm.
So I decided let's leave it at 40.
Okay.
And, I think we're going to do a better job of keeping up with all the MIUs that are going to continue to probably fail on us. So that's about the biggest adjustment I made, but not even an adjustment. I kept what we had basically. So if you look sewer and water, that's more or less the way I did things. And like I mentioned, I bumped, City of Danbury, 50,000. Then you see your capital item. So that I did come up with an estimate of some projects on both sewer and water. And that's the number I plugged in there for capital. And then I also, on the water side, take a look and see, well, what cash are we going to get back as we submit for payments? And then that goes on as a line item down on the revenue.
What's Bergstrom Construction? What's that?
Bergstrom Construction is the remainder of what we're still working on. We're going to pay some of it now through June. We're going to keep paying July and August and September and October. So that's what Bergstrom
So
is.
we have to appropriate that. But that already been appropriated.
Yeah, well, we don't carry money from one year to the next. So I'm looking at what are we gonna pay in fiscal year
I
25?
understand it, but we had that amount of money allocated when we did the project, right?
So
Oh, yeah.
it's two different things. So the approval of the $12 million Bergstrom
I understand.
was one thing. So if you look at the contracted services capital projects for last year, it was $8 million, which
Yeah.
included Bergstrom and other
Yeah, it was over
pieces.
12, yeah.
This is the rest of it. And since it's supposed to be done in August of 25, there'll be a little piece in the following year, right? Or whenever it's completed.
No, they'll be done. They should be done in this current fiscal year. So really, Pete, that's just the amount of construction
No,
money
no,
we're
I don't
gonna
have
pay
a
out.
problem with it. I just seemed like it should say just the remainder of what we're allocated, that's all.
I could add some words to
No,
that.
The verbiage should have said the 40, that is.
That balance of,
That's the final
balance
payment
of the
money
approved
that was
project.
approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
not a problem.
Now it looks like you're asking for more.
No. And the next line item would then be the construction admin that we've already gotten approved. That's the balance we're gonna pay.
Don't have a problem with
Yep,
that.
yeah, okay.
And then do you want to talk, you had the vehicle on there, Tom, but you told me that's the one that you didn't have to buy this year, right?
Yeah, Kel, we had a vehicle on there for the current year. We didn't pull the trigger on it.
We didn't buy it because we were down a man and we actually have an extra vehicle for him.
Right.
Once that he left, so.
So this is the vehicle we got approved last year that we didn't buy. I'm just carrying it forward.
I don't have a problem, I just said.
Okay.
And that should be it for a little bit, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody's in.
After that, after this vehicle was bought, the oldest one is in 2014, it's got about 80,000 miles on it. So it's, that's pretty good.
On the horizon, but not.
Yeah.
All right, so revenue wise, we have so water right now, we kept flat. Obviously, we know there's an 8.5% increase that was approved. So if we weren't in the process of doing all the MIUs and getting new estimates, and we knew a solid number right now, we would bump that number up 8.5%. But until they get the reads this month, or they got the reads, but they're billing them out,
They'll be billing them out next week. So by next month's meeting, we'll have a number in that column for the budget year, actually 24, 25.
yeah, so, oh yeah, it's. So revenue wise, they're pretty much all placeholders until we get that filled out.
The Paul Street pump replacement, is that a given or is that a definite?
Yes, we replaced one pump when I got here, maybe 2019. You know, we went and looked at another style of pump, but I'm going back to, let's just replace with what we got and keep it. If we know it, we don't have to make a whole lot of changes piping wise or otherwise.
Mhm.
And I'm afraid of not having a pump at the ready, you know, if in fact we have a failure.
I agree. You have to have spec.
So I'm definitely gonna pull the trigger on that.
Okay.
And then I think I also have the Plum Trees pump.
Yeah.
We talked about that already when we had a failure a couple of months ago, and we had to rent the Godwin pump. So having a spare at the ready will prevent us from having to get the Godwin rental.
I think that was 33,000 to.
For the pump?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
rental.
I put in 40 for an escalator. We probably need Blake to come out and you know, do some work to get it installed.
Mhm.
So I just put 40 grand in for that pump.
So that's it for where we're at with the budget. Again, rough numbers. Some of them are solid, some of them we know are rougher, but we want to get something in front of the commission just so it wouldn't be thrown at you in June and then to vote on it. So, the biggest thing that we have to tighten up is the revenue projection. Yeah. So,
So, unrelated to this, but a question because of the mod factor and whatnot. We never speak of the health and wellness of our employees in this group. Is that something that could be brought up generically? Because I know you can't bring up names and everything else, but just so we see how our guys are doing and
Sure. I mean, we have our safety meetings and we report on, you know, accidents and, you know, incidents.
Yeah.
So as any of those relate to utility workers, that's something we can get into. Other than that,
And that could be something, because of some personnel related, could be executive session. Do you
uh,
think I'm looking at Melanie?
you could do, I think you could do it without mentioning a name.
Yeah, just generic, yeah, you know, we have one minor injury.
Because, yes, because that's what we do at our safety meetings, at our quarterly safety
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah, no name, no detail, just
Pardon?
Those are
number.
recorded,
Oh,
though.
okay, okay.
Knock on wood, I don't think it's, you guys, the utility department's been.
It's in good shape.
well, and,
Yeah, we,
and some of like comp as a whole for the, I'll just talk generally for the town, has been going flat or down. It's because we've done a ton of training. We do webinar trainings. We bring our insurance carrier in. They do in-person training, especially with the highway, DPW, water sewer maintainers. We've done a lot of that kind of stuff. I think they look at like what kind of equipment they're using. They do, the safety committee monitors what kind of injuries we're having. And if we have a lot of like bending injuries, we come in and do bending training, you know, like, so.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah. They're not, I don't think the guys love being in a room listening to training for half a day.
No, they
Do it
don't.
in the GP room. I'm pretty sure they hate it, but you know, it's kind of what we do.
Ellie,
We have to hold our tongues when we're in public. That's the problem with these guys.
I joke with at least Dibble when he's in this building dealing with something. If he's been in the building for more than half an hour, I go, I know you want to get back outside. So, you know, I'm sure that's some of it.
Dog.
Yeah.
Our dog who outside.
So,
No parking car.
but we can talk more about it, but
Get some
it's
sun.
town-wide, we're doing it. And obviously, the utilities are seeing the result of that we're not having large comp increases. Even our liability being 3%, or it might be 0 if it's on a new contract with a cap of 5, that has more to do with the current pool and what's going on with insurance as a whole.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody today about what they're seeing, and they do more private sector, small business and stuff like that. And he said, my clients wish they were getting 5%, but it's the pool, you know? And Kerma got hit hard this past year with BLAP. There was a neighboring community that had a huge roof fire. That was a huge claim. That, because it's pool, that affects us, even though it's not us. So in some ways it's bad being a pool, but like, we still didn't see drastic increases even with that, you know? So.
well, maybe, you know, maybe that ultimately just becomes part of like a semi-annual or an annual
okay, yeah.
2-paragraph report.
Or as we have an event, then we can report on the event. I would say maybe no news is good news. You don't hear us
Yeah.
bringing anything forward. So maybe as we get our quarterly reports on the safety side, and when it's one of our maintainers, we'll bring it up.
Or just after, because we do the safety committee meetings quarterly.
True, okay.
Maybe you just make it part of your utility draft.
I was gonna say, put it in the director's report, because that's where we talk about
There you go.
hiring and everything
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. So after we have one of those
Yeah.
meetings, if there's no
Yeah.
incidents, then I'll just report that.
Excellent. Okay, further discussion on the draft budget. We think we're gonna be voting on that next time around, perhaps?
Yeah, we can have it on there for consideration, yes.
Sounds good. All right.
And if Brian and Rich want to come meet with Tom and I will meet with them to walk through it, so they're not seeing it for the first time.
Well, they would have gotten the email with,
I know, but it wasn't me to get the email without the.
Okay. So how about we talk about the MIU replacements under old business? Actually, I'm sorry. director's report.
okay,
We'll start by you there, sorry.
that's all right. I don't have much really.
Perfect, moving on.
We did our annual water quality report is completed. That's gonna go out, or at least the note will go out to all customers on how they can view it on our website. So no violations, no exceedances again this year, so.
Good job.
Everything else, a couple other things I have are on the agenda as either capital or what we've already just discussed, so, I guess that'll be a cap on my director's report.
Okay. Well, business, Let's talk about the MIU replacement.
MIUs. I'll pass that on to Kelly. He's been keeping track of, where we're at numbers wise.
Well, we were at 285, at last month's meeting. A week later, they went out and did reads, so within a week, we knew where we stood.
Mhm.
The list grew by maybe about 50 or so, but right now, as of today, we're down to 240 for downtown, for the village, including pits. And Stony Hill Wells are 27. So we're definitely gaining on it. There's probably about 40 or 50 of them that are Aquarian meters that they have issues with out in Stony Hill. But we're putting out flyers or door hangers. We just did that. We haven't done any mailings. We've been just doing door hangers, but we're down to a good number right now. Some of them were MIUs, and there was still another issue, whether it be wiring or meter heads or what have you. I'm still holding off on the pits until after the fiscal year. There's still plenty for us to do without getting into the pits, because I'm gonna have to order, special heads for being underground. So we're really in good shape. We're getting it down. I mean, we're not doing 7 or 8 a day. We're down probably to about 4, but it all depends on how many points. But we are in a good way.
Okay. Real quick, Kel, the Aquarian, meters, those are their MIUs?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we can't change those out.
That's all on them. But the wells are ours, because we've
Right.
had the meters installed on the wells, and I have a list, like I say, of 27 of those. But this is a new list that I started working 2 or 3 weeks ago. But we're like into a second round now. And I do anticipate another 50 or so each time we read until we get through them. But we had to have changed out well over 2,000 spot, and I think we only have 3,900 customers. So we're,
Well,
you know, but they all have dates on them. All these readers have dates on them. 2001, 2004, 2005. Some of the newer ones that we've had problems with, I'm putting aside and I'm going to try to get a credit from Thai Sales on that. They give you a percentage, but there's not a lot of newer ones. It's like, the 21s. There's a certain series that there were some issues with, but there's not a lot.
and I just so I understand too, when we're looking at these, Tom, in the budget, this is the meter main, right?
Meter maintenance.
Yeah, meter maintenance.
Yes.
Okay.
That's that line item that we spent, that we
40,000.
went over, correct?
Well, yeah.
Right, that's when we have appropriate money.
Yeah, you guys appropriated
Yep.
additional funding twice, I think.
And Dan, what
We
that,
didn't go over.
the reason for that, we started that line item is because usually anything with meters, we split between the two sides.
Right.
And they, that could be buying new meters, that could be buying pits. That could be the installation of meters on well lines. We pretty much leveled out on a lot of that. But it's not just MIUs, it's basically anything. it
And they
relates
mean
to.
it's, okay,
Yes.
because they're a great job nailing that.
Yeah. No,
Come on, went quick.
Mhm.
Any other questions on MIUs? Public utilities, capital project status. summary.
Okay, so our 2 projects, Bergstrom Well, we're basically at about the 50% paid level and the 62% construction schedule level. There's potentially a delay that may affect the schedule, and it's a couple of items. It's the meter cans on the electric from Eversource. They can't even get a date from them as to when they might have them. So the other one was the master control center, the electrical gear. So again, I think that got kicked back. I don't remember now what they said when they were anticipating it, but they're getting a date of October, which may push the schedule back a little bit, the final completion. We just don't know yet. It's only May in terms of, how much of an impact it's going to be. So we'll have to just kind of keep monitoring that. There's plenty of work for them to do, so it's not going to delay anything, at least up to that point. They'll be able to keep pressing on with getting the building constructed and all the site work done. There was a couple of change orders from this past month. One was an increased depth needed on a precast wastewater pump station. There was one for some conduit wall penetration, reinforcing steel that was needed. And with all the well drilling that we did out there looking for water, where we sunk the new well, there's a couple of monitoring wells that at this point now have to be abandoned properly. So that was another item. Where else am I? Remaining work, basically what they've been doing this past month was all the interior concrete slabs. So all of our floor slabs now are up to grade. Final grading around the backwash tanks has been ongoing, duct bank installation. The pitless adapter for the well has been installed, and the flushing hydrants. Next set of work that's coming is going to be the masonry building will start to get constructed. The electrical and instrumentation equipment stand panels, the generator and propane tank pads, and the spoil pile that's out there. They're starting to pick away at getting that out of there. So that's where we're at with Bergstrom. On the sanitary sewer evaluation for sub 13, the majority of the CCTV work is complete. They probably have another week or two. The flow isolation work is complete. About half the manhole inspections are done, and I think week after next, they're going to continue on with that. The big item is that there's some significant areas or sewer lines that require heavy cleaning. The contract and the work when you go for the deep grant, what they approve for the CCTV work includes light cleaning. So when there's heavy cleaning to be done, it's kind of outside of the scope. So they went back to the contractor to get a number on what they think that heavy cleaning is going to entail. And we did have heavy cleaning when we had to do 9, 12, and 15. But in this section, they've got an estimate of almost about $70,000. And it's for doing the extra time to do the heavy cleaning. They're in remote areas, swampy areas. Access is limited, so it takes longer. They need other equipment to bring in to get to it. What was the other item? And they're the larger diameter pipes, kind of like these swampy areas that we have. So I would certainly say I would recommend we get it cleaned. I mean, you can't leave it behind at this point. The estimate for the extra work was upwards of 90,000, but some of that CCTV work would already have been included, so they can back out about 20 or so grand. So the extra is going to be about 70 grand. Now that would not be subject or eligible for the deep grant. That's just going to be maintenance on our end. So I'm inclined to let's get it done, and we could probably have it billed out before June 30th, and we could probably get some of it billed out after July 1. So at this point, I would need an authorization to, if you want to give me a not to exceed $70,000, I think we're going to be able to come in with that as the number.
Where do we stand on our budget?
Current year?
Yeah. 'Cause
Well,
this will be in the current year, right? By June.
yeah, most of it will be. I think, Brad, we've got cushion in the current year on the sewer side.
I'm looking at that.
And honestly, if we go over, I think we have a balance on the sewer side from past years. I think you want to do it.
Well, I think it has to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To leave it behind because,
So you were getting us kind of an estimate. What is the real not to exceed then? 73?
well, they gave me a number the number they gave me was about 66.
Okay.
And now if we administered it ourselves, it'd be about 66. That's the contractor cost. I'm inclined, we've been doing this project through Weston and Sampson. He said just add about 5% for them to administer it. So you're looking at about another 3. So I came up with about 69 plus. So I'm going to say 70.
So the sewer department had $54,000 in transfer out, which we pretty much use for the MIUs.
Right.
You still have in plant maintenance 47,000, which I don't obviously you're gonna spend some more of that, but probably not 47,000 of it.
I think this would, you know, we probably have sewer mains. What's the 5218 number?
You got, oh, you have a lot there. You have like 32,000 there.
And,
Oh,
and,
sorry. So the plant maintenance is like 17. The sewer main is 33.
and this extra cleaning would actually go to that account.
Sure.
And it'll all be billed this year. or-
Well, again, I can kind of decide, you know, it's May. They're not gonna really jump on it until probably at the earliest end of May. So then you're looking at getting that bill in June. If they complete it all, I can have them bill it all and have it all in this fiscal year. I wanted them to split out a little bit and give us a second invoice that was dated July 1. That would be a way to do it too, to put it into, I'd be inclined to just take the hit this year and then get it done. Because I think we have cushion on some of those.
Yeah. And the
I'd
sewer
rather see us
department.
chew up what we got, but I don't want
Yeah.
to go over.
All right, I think we're gonna be,
Well, I think we're under on several other accounts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
So I think we can evaluate it at the time and then see how we get it invoiced.
so with that, I'll make a motion that we approve, an amount not to exceed $70,000 for heavy cleaning in section 13 for the director's recommendation. Second.
Second.
Okay. I think Pete, you already got the second. So, without trying minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And anything else you need to report?
The last thing, the PFAS class action update. So it looks like the court now has set a date, which was, I think, in April 24th, which then triggers the deadline for submitting a claim, which is now June 17th. So I've gotten everything kind of submitted online, but I still don't see the certification and signature page is not on there yet.
Okay,
So I haven't been able to actually pull the trigger on submitting it.
interesting.
What I was gonna say is maybe we want to just make another email or call
We might just double back to our.
and just see how that's happening. Maybe they're just slow in getting it all set for us, but
Maybe they want to sort of manage the gusher
Yeah.
claims we're gonna be getting.
yeah, so we have all the data. I have the forms filled out. Now we just have to basically hit the button and send it. And there's no button yet to hit.
Yeah.
So I don't want to let time go, but I wanted to at least report it here and then I don't anticipate having a problem getting it submitted because they'll have a way to figure that out. I think.
Right.
And that's all I had.
Now, is the new spec for PTB or T?
T, we're talking parts per trillion.
Yeah, right.
And they set the limit at 4. If they set the limit at 7 or even 6, we might have been under the limit.
Utility supervisor's report.
A couple things. Justin is officially our chief treatment operator. Extremely happy about that on both sides, Justin and ourselves. New hire, we interviewed last week of a gentleman, a local gentleman. Once we get the word from Phyllis, Phyllis doing a background check, then we'll take it from there and see if he's still interested. He sounds very interested. As for leak survey, we've been out, got leak survey being done the past 2-3 weeks, off and on. They found a hydrant making a lot of noise. I ordered parts. I don't want to replace the hydrant for the simple reason that it's in a very bad spot. It's right on the corner by the Bethel glass. There's an electrical box 2 feet behind it. It's right up against the curb, and there's a pole 3 feet on the other side with some underground power there. So I wanted, the thing is, the hydrant's 60 years old and trying to get parts. I contacted someone this morning, and they're gonna order me this stuff. It could be 2 weeks out to get the parts, but it's just, there's just a couple gaskets. You can hear it. We worked it, got it quieted down, but it's still, there's a little bit of there. So as soon as the parts come in, we're gonna tackle those. The other thing is, they did hear some noise on a main on Honey Hollow. They were out this morning to try to pinpoint it, to correlate it, to see where it is. And then there's a couple services that are making a little bit of noise. So all in all, the size of our system, we're in real good shape when it comes to leaks. And then we'll have a report, we usually get every year or every 2 years, we have this done. And we have a report that we give at the file for the state. And the only other, and nothing to really report on the sewer side. On the water side, we had a service leak at 27 Reservoir. I was kind of reluctant to get in there because of all that we have on Reservoir. That's 14-inch main, 10-inch main, gas main, sewer main, and a hydrant right where this leak was. So we had somebody come in with a Vector truck, and I was a little nervous digging around that 14-inch main. But we got it. It was a service leak, and other than that, we're tight. Now we'll just get after these 3 noisy areas where we think of. And then again, like I said, with the hydrant, I'm waiting for the parts. It's the hydrant dated in 1966. So it served us well.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to refer to as my hydrant.
Yes.
Because I keep getting calls on that hydrant over and over and over.
I was thinking about writing something on the side. I'm not going to tell you what I was going to write. But yeah.
But if you replace it, I want that hydrant in my office.
All right.
After all the stuff I'm going through about that hydrant.
I keep waiting for them to service the one out in front of my house there.
You want the hydrant for your house, do you?
Sure we did. It's Larry Straighten's mailbox.
Hey, if that was
Well played.
disappeared one night. That's an old hydrant. That's an old hydrant that's got there.
Any further questions, comments, business, come before the commission?
Let me ask you a question. On Steiner Store, we own that line, right? We're gonna own the main.
I'm sorry, where?
On Steiner subdivision, we're gonna own that sewer line?
Yeah.
Could they camera that line?
They do a pressure test on the line. They do a vacuum test on the hydrant. I don't know that we had them camera. They haven't cameraed the line.
I didn't hear the address.
Oh, Steiner's project up on Benedict.
Oh, yeah, they went out. They had they had one that wasn't holding one of the laterals they thought wasn't holding, so they had to dig it back up. But they did a pressure test on it. I think it's got the same easement set up for what's there now and for what was done back in the 90s.
I just wonder if the new line their line was ever cambered, the new one.
Oh, Camric?
We did,
No, they just pressure tested.
really?
Yeah.
Must
And-
work, they
and-
dug one up.
No, we have, everyone we did, we cambered.
Yeah.
Every new line we did on Stony Hill, we cambered them. And we found several dips.
Stony 1, 2,
Over
and
there,
3.
yeah,
You mean Stony 1, 2, and 3?
yeah, oh, yeah. I was just went up over the road on the other side, but there were 2 lines, we cambered and we found a couple of spots where they had to straighten them out, yeah. I was just wondering, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
I
that's
think
just
we're
a
all
question.
set.
Yeah,
With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second,
Yeah,
all in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Opposed, no, we're adjourned at 5:03 PM. Thank you, everybody.
So anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.